channel, mammals. Guess what we're going to do today? It is going to be wonderful. We're finally going to put all the shards into a mosaic around this portal. This portal, we had to reconfigure everything over on this side of the ship when we were doing the outside. And so it ended up with nothing. And I've been wanting to do shards all along, and here we are. These are only some of the shards that we have. But I think we'll be fine. I think I actually have to spread them out on the table. This is my umbrella handle. I just don't have the umbrella, that's all. Ugh, it's so much. But I couldn't decide, you know. And some of them are dirty, really dirty. But I can clean them after they're up. But aren't they beautiful? See, I thought some of these round ones, I'm not sure, but I thought it could frame the portal, possibly. Maybe it would look stupid. The thing about doing this work is it's not really planned. So there's a lot of doing this, and so it might take some time. Isn't that beautiful? I love that one. I have stories about every one of these, so don't get me started. Maybe I'll tell you some. Oh, this one's so sad. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my goodness, it's so sad that it broke. I love that mug. But it's going to be, and this is the other part of it. It's going to be appreciated in a whole new way now. Nothing's lost. I shouldn't be sad. I'm not sad. I'm happy. Okay. Let's get started. Okay, we're all set to go. All the prep, everything's covered and taped. And I have a little screwdriver and some nails that are impervious to moisture here, and stainless steel nails. So I have them here so I can quickly pick up and drill if something's going to fall without some support. Now the support may not need to stay there, but just while things are setting up, so I could take the screws out later on in many cases. And here's the putty. So I think what I'll do is just lay on some putty so I can use it as a base. Now, this is not a normal kind of mosaic. Most mosaics, the pieces are glued on to a surface, and then there's a grout that is used to push in between and fill in, and it's level with the actual tile. But this we like doing because we like the ooziness and the play that this putty is in part of the form. And it's just a different kind of a thing. But it's lots of fun for us to do it this way. But it's not at all normal. I don't think anybody else does it this way, except people who have learned from us. Huh, look at that. There's our engraved signature on this. You see Victoria and Richard MacKenzie-Childs. And then it's rubbed with ink, so it will never come out. But you'll never see it again because I'm not going to put it on this way. I'm going to put it on this way. But, and look at all the little bumps in here from the soft clay. When this was slip, and a slip is a clay that you can actually squeeze out of a little bottle to make, like decorating a cake. And these are little porcelain roses. So these were already fired And this was wet, so that's why you see the impression, the bumpy impression inside of those on here. Isn't this, I just love looking at these things. I remember doing this. This is part of the collection called Ever-Volving. I'm getting way off the subject, aren't I? But bear with me. This was called Ever-Volving. And you'll say, isn't she making a mistake? Isn't it ever-evolving? And it happened one time when I was talking to one of the folks at our studio. His name was Kevin. I was so excited about this. I was excited about everything. I don't remember what it was I was speaking of, and I just said something about ever-volving. And he said, Victoria, you just named your new collection. Ever-volving. And I love that word. It's a new word that I've had for maybe 25, 30 years. And it's a new word in the English language because it's better than ever-evolving, because that's kind of seems slow, ever-evolving. But ever-volving is just like, it's spiraling and out of control. And it's just going, flying out everywhere, ever-volving. And I just love that. And it's very much how this collection felt when it was being born and established. Well, what I was going to say is, the difficulty, as you can see, nothing like, this looks like, oh, you could do this around the window, but then it sticks out, and it's very thick, and everything is extremely awkward. And it doesn't want to, so it doesn't want to work together easily. And also, when something is done inside of a Rainlocker shower, you have to be conscious that there's going to be a stream of water coming down this way. And if this filled up, see right here, I have to fill this in. And I have to fill this in somehow. Because otherwise, imagine if water got down in here, it would become like a swamp. And all kinds of creatures could grow inside of these swampy. Look at this. See, I have to think of what to put to fill this space, because otherwise it would be all kinds of little creatures could be living in there, and we don't want that. So it's another thing to think about in the technical area of things. But what I have enjoyed, and I actually, to give you a hint, after we went out to the island to find shards of glass and ceramic, I thought, oh my goodness, we have so many shards, piles of them. Why did I need to get more? And I also thought they might be incongruous and too diverse for such a small space. But come back in. Look at this. See, this little cup, I started to get used to the idea, because I thought, oh, I brought you all the way out there to that island, and then not to have anything to use it for, you might be disappointed. So just for you, I started using it. But look at, isn't this beautiful? With this net, the shell, which is how it was found, you know, basically, with shells, and then these beautiful colors in this cup, and the one coming out and leading into these, and all these little pearly shells peeking out, just lacing, and here's a little knob of a little pot that broke, and some rocks that I had put together with putty a long time ago for another thing, and everything is helping everything else. This is a test. This is a pot, and this is a test. It has a little hole in the top of it even. Wait, I'll show you some more if you don't mind. This is a glaze test, and there's a little hole in the top so that we can hang it up and compare it with other things and get the tones and all, and we would write on here what these formulas were. I want to tell you a little story. I don't know why I've been thinking of it. I'm trying to think of how it relates, but I think it does relate. A long time ago, when Richard and Heather and I were in England, living in England, we met a really fine man. He was a very handsome man, but it was funny because he looked more like he should be in a proper suit with a nice starched white shirt. But instead, He spent all his life in his bathrobe, and the back of his bathrobe was gone because he wore it off from sitting down. And you know what? He was a member of the most important think tank in the UK. He was we didn't even know the name of the think tank because it's very quiet and kept just for people. People from all over the world are part of this important think tank. And they're all engineers and mathematicians and scientists, people working out all kinds of problems in the world. And he told me this wonderful story that I shall never forget. He said that at that time there had been a lot of problems in Africa, and with over farming or not understanding farming, or chemicals that other countries would ship to them, and then they killed off the natural flow of nature and insects and insect control that happened naturally. And pretty soon there was nearly going to be a famine in, I don't remember which country, but in Africa, and I think it even spread over several countries. And it was becoming an urgent need. It was so dire a need. So word went out to this think tank, and I think other think tanks in the world, to try to help the problem here. And it was actually a mathematical problem, because it was how to know what chemicals to pull away, and how and what insects to replace, and how to start to bring the norm back to help the countries and to save the crops in time. And it was right at the last minute, because these insects would be making eggs and making more insects, and so they were working, and they let scientists, different kinds of mathematics, the best ones in the world, know about it. Everybody was working on it. And for 2 years actually it was a 2-year project, and it was coming down to this point where there was going to be serious harm to the people. And this one man, I think he was in Iraq, and he was a quiet mathematician, and he was working diligently, day and night, trying to figuring, trying to make this work, he was constantly working on it, all the time, around the clock, even when he was sleeping. And one day he thought, I've been working on this for 2 years, and it's making me not even like what I love. And he said, when I was a little boy, I loved to play with numbers. I just loved numbers. I loved math. And he said, I used to play all kinds of games with myself. And he said, today I'm taking a holiday, and I'm just going to play. And do you know, on that day was the day, whilst he was playing, it hit him, the answer. And I thought, that is the truth, isn't it? That when we let go of all our human intelligence and our manufactured academias and all of the formulaic ways of the world, and just become, as a child, the answers unfold to us naturally. And I'm still working on this. But it is interesting that what's happening with this is not a traditional mosaic. And it's a joy to me, because I've never seen it before. Isn't that great? It's even different than the kinds of things we did at MacKenzie-Childs. It's dealing with technical situations that need to be realized, and I'm grown up enough to care about those. And yet I feel like it's a new adventure. Well, also, we've worked in so many different ways since then, and we're not afraid to bring in other pottery, because it's not like we're using our pottery. It's not about that. It's just what we have in the house. What hast thou in thine house? That old proverb. And that's what you use. Terry, I didn't know you were in there taking your shower. You can go back in later, okay? So now I welcome you in to see the unveiling of this wee tiny mosaic that I love and loved working on. I thought what it would be fun to do is tell you my favorite parts. And if you want, you can comment and say, oh, no. The other corner is much better, or whatever you like. So we'll start here. This is my example of gilding the lily. I just stuck these flowers in that I found just before the last frost ate them all alive. And I thought, oh, this is definitely gilding the lily, but isn't it pretty having nature intermingled with all of this hard, rugged, solid material that has been around for some of it for a long, long time. Okay, so here's my favorite section up here. And I think the reason I like it so much is because it has, this wonderful little touch of wood coming into the image, which I didn't use anywhere else. And also this almost whole complete mug that's made it through all these centuries, tossed around in the sea. And then different parts that come together. For instance, these are from two different pottery designs, but don't they look pretty running into each other, almost as if they fit together? And then this beautiful platinum handle for the ever-evolving mug that you saw. And then I love this little Chinese bowl and this beautiful little mussel coming into the pottery. And then this broad, flat section that has dimension only in the painting design of it, the trick of the eye. So this is my favorite for me. And we can include this little camel in here. He can be included in a favorite. So he goes to here. And see how it just kind of dribbles down and just ends into kind of quiet. Okay, so now my second favorite part is this part down here. And I think it's because I like these flat areas. And then these beautiful, one of my favorite pieces here, as I told you before, and this little Victorian knob that came off of when we had a big wave and it tipped off the cupboard. And something about this area, I think it's funny this is the first time I actually brought a piece of the pottery out into the bronze of the portal, which was fun to do. And you know why these have holes in them? I could have put shells in them, and I still may do that in each of these. It has enough bolts to hold it in place. But we ran out of the heavy bolts that we needed at the time, and we never did fill in here. So we either can we can't put bolts in now because it comes from the outside of the ship, and the outside is now all covered with the shingles. So we could put shells or buttons or leave them just as they are. And then this is another area. This is third favorite. And this area, remember when we had these empty vessels, empty cavities, which I thought would get filled up with swamp water. And then it turned into having bouquets of shells, as if they were little bouquets of flowers in these two items here. And the other thing, and I love this piece that came from Mars somehow here. And this also, I think it came from outer space. And then the other thing, and I love this combination, which I showed you before, just each piece coming together from every angle of creation. And this part ends with my fun little lamp here, where I'm going to light a candle just at the end. See this little candle is going to make this part glow for us. And then my next favorite, I do actually, at first I didn't like this area, but when I found these claws off the feet of a lobster, I kind of liked how they came in here and pulled things together and made it just less of a flattened out ceramic section. So this actually ends up working. And then this part, I think this is my fourth favorite part, but I love it. it's just that it's a little bit undefined for me. I like this little crab. We have lots and lots of crabs here in the sea, so it's nice to have him there. But it just was a difficult section, so it made me feel a sort of sadder relationship with it. But it has some beautiful things. Like, I love this part of the Evelyn Street collection. This is where we painted underneath this overglaze with different colors of glaze, and then painted over it. And as it crackled, you see all these different colors coming through. Whereas this one is just one color underneath, the ochre underneath the glaze. But this one is extremely, and here's another example of it right here. That's Evelyn Street. Well, I just want to have one point that I think is really important to share with you. And I've already said it when I told you the story of the mathematician, when he stopped fighting with the problem and started just saying, I remember what drew me into mathematics in the first place and gave me this deep understanding of it. And that was when he was a little boy, just playing with numbers. And I always have to keep reminding myself of that. Even though Richard and I developed this idea of Mosaic, which had never been done before, still, you can start to become a slave to it instead of, when we developed it, was just play. And then here it was like, oh, how am I going to fit such large pieces in such small spaces? And things started trying to fight with my freedom. And when I remembered that little story, I remembered the childlikeness that invents all by itself. And it's really just listening to God's already established creation, just already there, just like walking on the beach. And that's what it was like in the end. And so I'm so excited. I hope you like it. I thought we'd end with a little ceremony. Here it is. I brought a match and a striker. And I thought we should light our little candle in here and turn down the lights. Maybe this will do enough. Oh, this is quite perfect, isn't it? Isn't that fun? Goodbye, my mateys. Thank you for coming.